Generally, we write concurrent code for doing multiple tasks at a time. For doing that, we can use multiprocessing, multithreading, or even async IO. Now, while we are executing multiple tasks of the same kind, for example, making multiple HTTP requests to a bunch of URLs or processing a given list of files, in those cases, we like to keep a track of the progress of our tasks. And for that, a progress bar is the best visual descriptor. We already know how to create progress bars for loops in Python using the TQDM library. But what about the case when you are doing concurrent execution? In that case, it would be a bit difficult for TQDM to keep track of the progress of the tasks as there is no explicit for loop. So in this video, we are going to try to solve this problem by exploring various ways of displaying progress bar for concurrent tasks run through multiprocessing or multithreading or async IO. So without any delay, let's get started. Okay, so let me start by defining our task, which is simply a function which is called foo, which takes a parameter a as input, and we simply return a squared. And now I also want to add a simple delay here so that we can see our function or the overall complete task running for a considerable amount of time. So I'm just gonna put import time, and we have time.sleep 0.2 seconds. So that's simple. And now if you see foo1 or let's say foo3, then we will get 9 with a 0.2 second delay. So this is our small task, and now we have to do it multiple times. So let's say n equal to 30 times. Okay, so I'm just gonna define it like this. So now what I need to do here is I have to complete this task 30 times, and the output should be a list containing the squares of numbers from 1 to n-1. So that's what we want to have here. So for I in range n, let me just do, so first of all, let me define x as an empty list, and then x dot append. What do I want here? I want foo I. That's it. So now the function is running, and finally once it gets completed, we will get x, which contains the squares of numbers from 1 to n-1, which is 29. Square of 29, 841. So this looks fine. But now the thing is that since this function is taking a lot of time to execute, we would like to track the progress of it, and for that we need a progress bar. And for making a progress bar, we're going to use TQDM library in Python. You can install it by doing pip install TQDM. So that's simple. And once you do that, you will be able to import it by doing from tqdm.notebook import tqdm. So this is this is exclusively for Jupyter Notebook. If you are running a Python script, then you will have to do from tqdm import tqdm. But right now it is tqdm.notebook, from tqdm.notebook import tqdm, since we are using Jupyter Notebook. So that's fine. So now let me tell you a bit about TQDM. So what TQDM does is that all you have to do is just wrap any kind of iterable with TQDM. So what will happen is that when someone will try to iterate over that iterable, then TQDM will keep updating a progress bar, and you'll be able to see that. So let me show you an example. So this is the TQDM function. It takes an iterable as input. So let me put an iterable which is range 30, or let's say range n here. So range n just returns you a kind of a range iterator, and what you can do is you can simply iterate over it. For example, range 30, let's say it is it is equal to range 30. So what you can do is you can keep doing next of the iterator, and you will keep getting the values, right? It is as simple as that. So now TQDM range n, so I'm just wrapping an iterable with TQDM, and now I have to iterate over it. So how can I iterate over the range? I am doing that right here, right? So let me just do it like this, TQDM range n, and let's see what happens. So look at that, we are getting a very pretty progress bar here, and that's cool, right? So in this way we are able to do this. Now let me try to do this complete thing in a single line. So how can I do that? So all I have to do is just wrap my iterable with TQDM function. So let us try to convert this for loop to a list comprehension. So that will be foo I for I in range n, and I'm just gonna put tqdm over my iterable. That's it. And let me just put it x equal to that. So look at that, we are getting a nice progress bar again, but we are able to do that by just writing a single line of code. So that's also working fine. And now one more thing that we can do here to make it much simpler, that is I can use map function to map the foo function over it, and then convert it to a list to generate the final output. So let me do that now. So just see this first, list of range n. What is it? This is this, right? And if I just try to wrap it with tqdm, what happens is that we get the progress bar, pretty progress bar. Now what I need to do here is that I need to replace this iterable with the iterable which is generating the squares of the numbers. So for that I'm going to use the map function with foo as the function, and I have to iterate over the range n. So okay, so now you can see that we are getting the count, but we are not getting the progress bar in the full form because it doesn't know how many times it has to run. Why? Because the map iterable doesn't know how many times it's gonna run. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here now is just introduce the total. So first of all, so we are gonna put total equal to n. So what it will do is that it will tell tqdm how many iterations are we gonna have explicitly. So now it is looking perfect, and it's gonna generate the final result for us. So this is fine. Okay, so we have seen three different ways, synchronous ways actually, in which we can use tqdm as the progress bar for displaying us the progress of our tasks that we are doing. So that's fine. And now we are gonna go into some concurrent execution with which we will be able to do this whole thing a bit much faster. So first of all, I'm gonna go with multiprocessing. But wait, I'll be actually trying to show you how multiprocessing code can be directly converted to multi-threading code. So we'll be doing it side by side. Okay, so what I'm gonna use is the multiprocessing library's pool function. So I'm just gonna do from multiprocessing.pool import pool. So it helps me do the pooling thing there. So what I'm gonna do is with pool as p dot map the foo function over the range n, right? And then just save this result in something called x. So what we get as output is what we want, right? So this is fine, but the problem here is that I have no place where I can put that tqdm wrapper because I do not see any iterable here. All I see is that there is a function called p.map which simply returns me the list. But what I want is I want to keep a track on the progress of how those results are being generated. So actually I need an iterator here, but p.map is returning me a list. But here is a solution. Pool class also has a function called imap. So imap will actually return me an iterator which I can iterate with the results coming out as soon as they are getting processed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace it like this, x equal to p.imap, and now convert it to a list explicitly. So that will also generate the same result for me. So we are getting the same result. But now what I have here is that I can just wrap this iterable with tqdm and I'll be able to get what I need, which is the progress bar. But again, here also I will need to tell the total equal to n explicitly. So look at that, we are getting a very nice progress bar and the result is correct. So in this way I am able to generate a simple progress bar for multiprocessing code. And now let me try to make it for multi-threading code as well. So for that, all you have to do is from multiprocessing.pool import thread pool. So that is another class which is provided by multiprocessing.pool module, which lets you create a pool of threads instead of processes. So here I will be doing with thread pool as p, where I can put processes equal to, let's say, 10. So now I can generate, and look at that, this is even This is much faster. This is even faster than the multiprocessing code, because there you had only 4 processes, but here I am having multiple threads which are 10, and since there is some wait, some delay there, so it must be doing multiple tasks at a time in a much faster manner. So yeah, this is cool. But now in Python 3, since Python 3.2, there has been something called concurrent.futures. So that concurrent.futures module has something called thread pool executor and process pool executor. That is actually a high level interface over these pool implementations only, and that actually is a much standardized way of doing things. So that's why I'm going to show you the example of using them as well. So from concurrent.futures import process pool executor, and the other example is with process pool executor as executor. What are we going to do with that? So actually executor also has a function which is called map, and this map will not return a list, it will actually return an iterator directly. So we can just directly go with executor.map. So just wrap it with the list, and what are we going to map? We're going to map foo for range n, and now we're going to introduce tqdm over this iterator like this, and we're also going to tell tqdm that you can have total equal to n. So it looks fine. So I'm just going to do x equal to this, and look at that, it works fine, and we have the result, right? So in this way we are able to generate the progress bar with concurrent.futures, thread pool executor, and process pool executor. So let me show you the example with thread pool executor. So that is simple and nothing much to do there. All you have to do is just replace process pool executor with thread pool executor, and just putting it here also. So with thread pool executor as executor, we are doing the same thing, and that should work, right? So just making the max workers equal to 10 here also, so that it gets done, so that it uses 10 threads concurrently, and that works. Okay, so this was how we can use multiprocessing and multi-threading with progress bars. And now lastly, what are we going to do is I'm just going to show you a one-line code for doing all this, which is tqdm is providing itself. So tqdm has a library called tqdm.contrib.concurrent. From tqdm.contrib.concurrent we are going to import process map, and now all we have to do is we have to do process map foo range n, and you are done. This is as simple as that. So this is the best solution actually, because it is just a wrapper over the process pool executor. So this is a utility which is directly provided by tqdm. So if you know about it, then you should just use it directly, right? And similarly we have thread map for multi-threading, so that will be using thread pool executor. So I'm just going to do thread map and just replace process map with thread map. And what happens here is that it also takes one more input, which is max workers. So that's an optional one, and you can do max workers equal to, let's say, 10 again, and this works. Okay, so this was how we can display progress bar using multi-threading and multi-processing. And now it's time for checking it out with async IO. Now before I go ahead with the async IO case, I will actually recommend you to learn about async IO if you do not know about it already. And actually for everything which has been taught till now, which is multi-threading or multi-processing, so I have created tutorials for all of them, and you can find all of them in the description of this video below. So just check them out if you have any kind of doubts related to async IO or multi-threading or multi-processing. Okay, so now let's go ahead with async IO. And actually for the case of async IO, we will not be able to use this function. We will have to write an asynchronous version of this task. So let us write an asynchronous version of our task foo. So I'm just going to call it afoo, and here instead of time.sleep we'll be using async io.sleep. So let me just import async io, and just making this function able to use the await. So async def foo a, and then awaiting for this thing, and then returning the square of a. So what all I have done here is that I have made this function a coroutine, and what happens is that a coroutine lets itself block the execution of its own execution, and just let the event loop, which is responsible for running that function, go to some other function and do its job there. So here what I'm doing is that, let's say multiple foo tasks are running, then when this particular part of the code is reached in a particular task, then that task will block itself for some time and some other task can run during the meantime. That's what is happening. So this is my simple function, and let me just try to show how to run this. So let's say I'm doing foo2. So actually I am not getting the result. For example, if you do foo2, you get the result, right? But foo2 will be returning you a coroutine object because it's a coroutine. So what we're going to do now, so in order to run coroutines, you have to use async io library. You can install it by doing pip install async io if you haven't done already. So it's gonna be pip install async io, and once you have done that, you can simply do async io.run and just pass your coroutine, which is foo2 here. So let me run it. Okay, so we are getting an error which is saying that async io.run cannot be called from a running event loop. So actually Jupyter Notebook is itself running under an event loop, and in that event loop you are trying to run another event loop which is responsible for running this. So actually this is not allowed because nesting of event loops is not allowed here. So in order to get over this, so basically this code will run in a simple Python script, but in case of a Jupyter Notebook you will have to do a bit different hack here, a kind of a hack, which is I'm just gonna import nest async io. So you can simply install by doing pip install nest underscore. So this you should try to you should install it only if you want to run all this code related to async io in Jupyter Notebook. So import nest async io and nest async io dot apply. So what will it do is that it will patch the async io to make its event loop re-entrant. So basically nesting will be allowed in a way. So now if I try to do async io.run, I get the output, which is fine. So yeah, so in this way you can run this function. You have to use async io.run, and that function will run asynchronously, and that's what we're interested in because this helps me do concurrent execution of multiple tasks. Okay, so what I need to do here is that I need to run it for n times from 1 to n minus 1. I want to get a list which contains the squares of all those numbers. So how to do that in async io, using async io? So for that I will need to create a list of tasks which I need to do. I can also make a simple map of foo with range n. Okay, so if I just try to see the length, let me just try to see the list of tasks. So you can see I have created multiple coroutine objects basically. So these multiple coroutine objects need to be executed concurrently using async io. So these are my tasks, and now I can do async io dot gather. Async io dot gather. So async io dot gather takes variable number of arguments which should contain the concurrent the coroutines basically. So I will be doing asterisk tasks. So what I get here is a future object, but we're not interested in knowing much about it, but what we are interested in is running this thing, right? So how can I run it? For running this I will be using again async io.run. So async io.run, async io.gather these tasks, and okay, so we are getting this because it's a map. Let me try to convert it to a list, and look at that, we get the output. We are getting it in perfect order in which we want, and you might have noticed here that it happened very fast, right? Because concurrent executions which are done by async io, here this thing which is the blocking code, during that time other functions were running, so it's quite fast if it's seen that way. Okay, so this is how we run it. And if I try to run it again, I will actually get an error because those coroutines have been used. So tasks has used coroutines. So I'm just going to put it together so that every time I run it, I get some output. So this is the version that we have here, but the problem with it is that I do not see a progress bar because I do not know how to put TQDM in this. There is no space for TQDM to be fit in this particular piece of code, right? So what I need is I need to make it compatible with TQDM. And here async.io.gather is just acting like the pool.map function. It is just taking a list of tasks that you want to do, and it is returning you the list of the list of results basically, right? But what I need here is that I need a way of getting an iterator kind of an iterator out of it, right? So for getting an iterator out of the tasks that you have, we have to use something called async.io.asCompleted. So async.io.asCompleted returns an iterator whose values are coroutines. So what will happen is that you will have to pass your tasks. So let me just copy it here. So you will just have to pass the list of your tasks into it, and it will actually return you an iterator which is actually a coroutine. The iterator, when iterated upon, will return you a coroutine, and that coroutine will, if that coroutine is run, then you will get the actual result, which is the earliest result. So let me just explain you by trying to execute this whole thing. And I'm just going to put it in a function because I'm going to use the await keyword. So that's why I'm going to put it like this: async def, let me call it do, let's call it do, and I have the list of tasks. So for t in async.io.asCompleted tasks, I will do x is equal to await t, or let me just try to do it like this, that x is a list and I am doing x dot append await t, and I'm just gonna return x. Okay, so now let us try to understand what's happening here. This is a function which keeps a list of all the coroutines that need to be run, and async.io.asCompleted is running those coroutines, and now it actually returns you an iterator in which when you iterate over it, every time you get a coroutine which actually represents the earliest next result which is gonna come. And now the thing is that that result might not be in order, right? But still you're getting some result and through an iterator, and that's why I can use TQDM. So this gives me a chance to use TQDM, and I'm just doing x.append await t. So what happens on doing await t? Await t will wait for that coroutine which is supposed to be the earliest next result to produce the result, and its value is being stored in x.append, and that's it. So this is how we are going to do this: async io dot run do. So let me just put it like x equal to this, and okay, so what happened here was, let's see if we got x or not. We got x, but we did a small mistake here, that we need to provide the total because it doesn't know what is the total. So total is equal to n, and look at that, it's quite fast, right? We are getting the result, but the thing is that this order is actually unordered. So there is no order here. We are getting this in an unordered fashion, and even though we are able to generate a progress bar, but it is unordered. So that is the problem here. So now I'm gonna give you one more solution which is gonna make it ordered. So let me just define it as do1, which is doing the task, fine, and now I'm gonna replace it with do2. And what I'm gonna do here is that, so see what is happening here. What is happening here is that I have the list tasks which contains the order in which I want the results, right? It has that order because I was using range_m to generate those coroutines. But after that, I am not using tasks for keeping track of that order. So what I can do here is that, because coroutines actually do not contain that information, what is the result of that coroutine once that is completed, but there is something called an async io task. So let me just show you async io.task. So async IO.task is a coroutine which is wrapped in a future object. And what are future objects? Future objects refer to those values which it just refers to an object which is gonna have some value in future once it gets calculated. So that future object can have multiple states, like it is being processed, or it has been processed, or it failed, or something like that. It was cancelled in that way. So what you have to do is we are just gonna put another map over a-foo with the async io.create task function. So what we're gonna do is we are just gonna create a-foo, which is a coroutine, and over that we are gonna wrap it with async io.create task. So it is now actually an async io task, and async io.as completed takes those tasks and input. That's fine, but we are not gonna save those values because we know that they are not ordered, so no use of doing that. So I'm just gonna keep it await t, that's fine, but I will be doing return t.result. So now I can use the values which are stored inside the tasks list. So t.result for t in tasks, that's it. So earlier tasks was containing coroutines which do not keep track of their result, but now I am using async io task class which keeps the track of those results, because it is a wrapper over the coroutine which is actually a future object. So it keeps the tracks of everything. So I am getting that result, and I am sure of getting that result because I am waiting for getting that result. Okay, so this looks cool, and now we are just gonna do the async io.run do two thing, and look at that, it worked and we got the result which is ordered. Yay. So we have been able to use async io as well to generate a progress bar, and it looks promising. And just one more thing before I end this video, which is I'm gonna replace this much code with list comprehension to make it one line and a bit more compact, which looks a bit more better. So it will be await t for t in this thing. So just replacing it with that, and we are done. Okay, so let's test that again. So that's working. So yeah, so it looks cool. It looks cool. So we are able to generate the progress bar for all the different cases that we might have for making concurrent execution, and that's looking fine to me. So yeah, so this is all that I have from this video. And if you do not know about any of the concepts that have been used in this particular video, for example multi-threading, multiprocessing, or async IO, you can check out those tutorials by me which are in the description of this video below. So yeah, so if you have any other doubts, you can put them in the comment section below. That's it from this video. Thanks for watching.